curious what that's about. QiuQiu used to be an AD carry player. I'd be surprised if they're actually swapping, though. Gnar still open, and FPX just saying, you know what? We don't care about that last game. We're still going to play the Gnar. We're still going to lock this in as our blind pick.
Oh, and AL bringing out the secret weapon this time. The patented Swain comes out for Forge. Something to mention is that the Poppy has been left open and available. AL opt not to go for it, but something I will say is that like Poppy, it can be very effective against Swain if you land the ultimate, but otherwise, you know, if Swain gets up in your face, you're not going to have the best of time. Clid considering, does he want to pick up that pick that was banned away this entire series, or does he want to go in a different direction? They actually lock in the Ahri for care, so I would honestly say that these two mid lane picks are kind of like well, they are the most played for these two, I feel, but also like they're kind of the signature so far this split.
Man, it's so sad when people hover things like the Rammus and things like the ASOL, because we just never see these picks. They're just never going to be logged in. It's a Lee Sin in the end for Clid. This is very much a signature for the man in the jungle on the side of FPX. Feels like 3 very strong picks for them, but it also feels like strong picks for anyone's legend. Like they could go for the Camille in the top lane if they wanted to here, round out with a matched top side. In fact, changing the matchup here. Forge going for a Jax. I mean, sorry, ZDZ going for a Jax instead.
So I honestly would have thought the Camille would be good to pick up there. You know, into the Ahri, into the Lee Sin, very effective as they can't use their mobility. But the Jax was something that does get banned away very often second rotation against ZDZ, and he can be an absolute monster. I mean, we saw, if anyone who caught the series of the day, V5 is Weibo, Shy showing the upper limit of what the champ can do. ZDZ definitely another aficionado. But now we go to the second rotation, and it's interestingly enough, this is a rarity where no AD carry or supports are being picked in the first 3, and we start to see the extra bans come out. Bear in mind, we already had 3 AD carry bans and a support ban in the first rotation, and now the pool is getting whittled down more and more. And you know what I'm thinking, Munch? Maybe if we get enough bans on AD carries, Sivir might show up. That's my hope.
We'll have to see. It's certainly an old school pick, and we have 2 old school AD carries in the server, right? Betty and Lwx both played plenty of that over their careers. Well, I don't know if they've played plenty of Sivir specifically, but they've played long enough that they could have, is what I'm trying to say. Rakan going to be banned away here, denying that hard engage from Hung that we saw earlier on in the series. The Senna taken off the board. Maybe we get a ban on something like the Jinx, or the Lucian perhaps. Oh, the Lucian's already gone. Yeah, we just need a Jinx ban. We're getting into that kind of territory.
Yeah, a lot of AD carries already taken off the cards. We'll see, maybe Nautilus I could see as a ban. Yep, comes in just as I say it. Obviously, really high priority pick on the patch. And now for AL, potentially toying with the idea of this Ezreal, which we saw a bit of early in the split into Senna, but haven't really seen much since. But this is kind of what's going to happen when you ban this many picks in the bot lane. You're going to start moving a bit more to the fringes. We'll see if they opt to lock this in. You know, there's a lot of room you can go with this Ezreal. You can go towards like a Yuumi to pair with it. You can go definitely more that style. You could go Karma, like a strong lane, or you could just pick something like a Leona and just play kind of standard.
Kai'Sa is available for Lwx. The man literally has... well, no, he didn't go for the skin on L.
Please,
do it.
Please,
do it, Lwx. Do it.
Don't
He's just
toy with
hovering.
me,
He's just
LWX.
baiting us. He's going to go Kai'Sa, right? It's a great pick into the Ezreal. It's something that Lwx is one of the most proficient players in the entire planet on. But it's the Sivir. He actually locks it in. We get the brand new Sivir, day 1 of 12-13, and we get to witness what this new crit champ is all about.
And all it took was 5 AD carry bans and then QiuQiu picking Ezreal for Lwx to say, okay, I guess I'll take Sivir. And honestly, it kind of makes sense because she has pretty... Oh, this would be dirty as well. They're gonna... This is the thing. You're picking Ezreal. It's not the most aggressive lane. Now, I wonder if AL here are going to go like a more aggressive pick to try and punish this. Karma Ezreal would be quite a threat in the laning phase. Alistar does well in the Sivir. Remember, she's short range. She's always going to be in range if you pulverize. And then obviously, you know, you can't really spell shield both. If he does like headbutt and you spell shield early, he'll just eat it up and he can go for the Q afterwards. So you see QiuQiu trying to decide what he's going to go for. The names are the wrong way around. It's kind of confusing, but yeah. So do look at the Alistar, but ultimately FPX have a super scaling lane. We talked about this at the start of the day. Sivir is now like a hyper carry in the later stages. So much AoE damage, so much shred. And if you look at AL's comp, they have like 4 really short range champions. So if they're all clumped up together, they will just bounce and do an insane amount of damage, especially with the Yuumi as well. going to be very difficult to actually pin down Lwx. So AL, you know, we call them team fighting powerhouses. They will have their work cut out for them if they let this go late.
Yeah, they certainly will. This Sivir is going to be a nightmare to deal with. But look at the pick potential as well. With Sivir ult, with an Ahri and a Lee Sin, like, it's going to be very difficult to escape this composition from FPX if you ever step too far up. So really, really curious how this one's going to go. I'm excited to see the brand new Sivir in the hands of such a seasoned veteran like Lwx himself. I feel like this is going to be an exciting one with that Yuumi as well to pair with the Ahri and the Lee Sin. And Summit just going with literally the comfort pick that he's had all split long in that Gnar. He did finally get his first loss on that Gnar though last game. That was his 5th game of Gnar this split, and it was a loss. So only an 80% win rate. Bit tragic.
Man, what is he doing? Obviously, still spectacular. And I feel like it's kind of, as I said before, a lot of these series in the LPL, we get like, you know, not stompy, like super stompy, but kind of one-sided game 1, kind of one-sided game 2. And then game 3 is like the peak banger, back and forth craziness. And I'm really hoping on this one. I'm excited because, like, the thing is, you know, we prepared, if anyone didn't catch the start of the show, we had like a bunch of like graphics to show the new changes on the new patch we've obviously hit today. We are on 12.13, which is why we're seeing Sivir. We did a full screen for Sivir, and I was like hoping that we see it. I was thinking, you know, there's a lot of AD carries I could see playing this because, you know, there's challenges, you are short ranged, but the output you have can be spectacular. But to have it in our first series, especially a player like Lwx, oh, I feel like this is such a treat.
Yeah, it certainly will be to see this brand new version of Sivir. For anyone that doesn't know, for anyone that missed our opening segment earlier on today, Sivir has had some big changes coming into patch 12.13. This is on the live server, so if Lwx smurfs it, you could go try it for yourself. But crucially, the Ricochet now can bounce to the same target more than once. Your E no longer gives you mana. It gives you health now, but that's the spell shield, the E. But it also, you have more mana regen in general now. But the Q scales with crit, so don't expect lethality here. Expect a crit build. And crucially, when your ult is active, your auto attacks will reduce your abilities' cooldowns. So it means that in these team fights, Lwx is just going to be firing everything in all directions. It's just going to be boomerangs everywhere, especially with an R in the top lane.
Oh, for sure. And one of the really nice changes is like before, when you popped your W, it was like you got 3 autos. That was it. But now it's like you get the buff for 4 seconds. So especially when you get higher levels of attack speed, late stage of the game, Yuumi giving you attack speed, lethal tempo, you know, once you've built it as well, you can get a lot of autos off in that time and really shred. And this is why the Civ is picked into the Ezreal, because you're going to have Pima push. You know, you can just keep spamming those W's, and you can see as well the ricochets bounce from the minions to Betty and then back again. Very hard to contest this. And I know a lot of you might be thinking, if you haven't played the new Sivir, oh, well, she no longer gets mana on a spell shield. And it's because they lowered her mana cost, so now she doesn't need the mana from a spell shield and could just pretty much spam abilities in lane.
Summer's not having a fun time up on the top side. I will say, you know, they removed Darkwind from Fiddlesticks because it was toxic to play against. There was no avoiding it. It would just bounce between you and the minions and just kill you. Yeah, like they've just re-added it, but it's Sivir's W now. So it goes through the entire wave and then bounces between you and the minions. Definitely going to be frustrating for Betty to have to deal with during this laning phase. We'll have to position correctly. Make sure he's not too close to the minion wave, or he'll get those bounces. ZDZ trying to find the all-in angles on Summit.
Yeah, and doing as Jax does, you know, ZDZ very proficient on the champion, but this is kind of how you play the matchup. Just Perma looking for trades, jumping in, using the minions to buff the damage and the counter-strike. Xiaohao will find Clid, but if you look, he has prio top, and he knows, I'm not sure if he 100% had information that the smite was used, but he knows where Clid is. He's able to pick up that scuttle and still go back through and clear his raptors, so in a pretty comfortable spot.
Yeah, Clid, crucially, not being spotted in the river there, so looking for an opportunity onto Forge. Potentially can find it here. The flash charm comes on through. Forge is gone. Clid answers that scuttle crab with first blood in mid lane.
And, you know, Forge is like, my jungler is over the wall. Like, why would he be playing defensive in that situation? There's no reason for Forge to expect anything. But as you said, didn't spot Clid in the river, finds that angle to come in. And not only does he manage to pick up that nice first blood, but also going to be able to get that bot side scuttle with the pressure afforded here. QiuQiu now level 3. Once you get level 3 on Alistar, you know, you can look for all-in windows. But I still feel like it's so hard because the state of the lane is always going to be FPX have more minions than you do, because you can see Lwx just obliterates the wave, and like, how is an Ezreal going to function when there's always a bigger minion wave on the enemy side? You're not going to be able to land your Qs. Even if you do land a Q, there's like spell shield. If you jump in to try and land autos, there's exhaust from Hung. Like, you can cleanse it, sure, but I just think this is such a hard lane. And really, it's going to come down to Xiaohao finding angles to gank and to sort of alleviate pressure in the bot lane if they want to make something happen.
Feels like a hard lane on the top side, though, for Summit. So kind of opposite sides of the map advantages for opposite teams here as Care perhaps looking for an opportunity to roam here, but we'll just be clearing away vision in the end. Spots the control ward. We'll be able to get rid of that one. So Xiaohao will be gutted that his control ward is cleared in the end.
He's got another one. I think he'll be okay.
Yeah, I assume it was Xiaohao that placed that one as Care. Just going to drop a ward onto the Raptors, just getting some vision. Cleared away the wave and using that time effectively. You love to see.
Yeah, and something we have praised him for quite heavily is making those moves from the mid lane. Set up a vision, set up control, set up the team. And mid lane is going to be approaching level 6 soon. And Forge, although he still has his flash, because he ended up dying, if he's a bit down in XP compared to Care, and the Ahri gets 6 first, that could be very threatening. Could see an angle potentially come out where Charm connects, and Forge just ends up going down once again. Now, Xiaohao trying to contest his vision here. Yeah, I don't think he wants to mess with that Lee Sin. At least not right now.
Few hits. Okay. So he's going to be DPSing the clone down. Just using his passive effectively there. ZDZ in a little bit of trouble on the top side. Big damage coming out from Summit. He's fighting into a wave, but I don't think he cares. He's just hit 6, but ZDZ finds the flash. Close one there for ZDZ. He was behind in XP and almost loses his life for it.
Yeah, plays it a little bit too close for comfort, but is able to flash the ultimate. Doesn't end up going down, and it just ends up being a trade evenly. In fact, actually, because ZDZ is going to hit 6 in a second and have his ult, it's actually a trade up for ZDZ, surprisingly enough. But definitely seen a lot of back and forth between these top laners in the series, and both of them, you give them a window, and they will look to punish.
Yes, they will. Gets the Essence Flux onto him, but it doesn't look like Betty. Oh, actually, Betty found a Q onto him, so fair play to him. Does get a bit of harass. Big damage in the mid lane as well as Care. Just trying to shove this wave in. Clid just not even looking at mid lane. He's making a beeline right now up towards that top side where Xiaohao clears some vision, tries to move in on towards Summit. Ward dropped into the tri-brush though. ZDZ low on HP again as he tries to survive in this lane, tries to stay in this lane, but Summit definitely getting the best of him recently.
Yeah, Xiaohao coming to try and help him out with a reset, but you see, since Summit took the first back, picked up the Ninja Tabbies, like ZDZ can't jump on him nearly as easily and just guarantee he's going to win out the trade. So Summit able to apply some pressure there. With Demolish, if he, assuming he has it, might be able to get a plate here before he's back. We'll see, but he may just go for the reset regardless. ZDZ now going to pick up the Sheen, head back towards lane. And actually looks like Summit doesn't have Demolish, so never mind. But still actually should just get a plate here.
Yeah, the minions would be able to finish that one off for him. He'll be able to get a reset off in the brush while ZDZ sweeps that wave up. So really nice stuff from FPX here, specifically from Summit, having almost a 10 CS lead. That will shrink a little bit, but then once he gets to the lane, there'll be a big whole minion wave that's crashing towards him. So very nice position for Summit to be in here. In the meantime, Lwx just trying to zone Betty away, keeping this wave where it is, trying to deny any CS he can from Betty. Getting a good little chunk out with the boomerang blade as well.
Yeah, and look, QiuQiu just backed and picked up Moby boots. Like, if this isn't a signal that the lane isn't really going anywhere, then I don't know what is. And QiuQiu, you're probably not going to find much bot lane. You don't win the all-ins, right? You have limited pressure on the Civ. Obviously, Alistar can at least combo her because the spell shield can't effectively block it. I know there is some timings where you can absorb it, but QiuQiu can play around that. But yeah, he just wants to make things happen because this is the state. Betty gets chunked out, wave gets pushed in, plate gets taken, repeat.
Yeah, feels like, especially now you got that Noon Quiver as well, right? You're able to really actually pressure in the lane as opposed to just crash the waves. Here we go. In the top side, though, ZDZ gets a stun onto Summit. He is Mega Gnar. We'll just hop away with the crunch there. But the Rift Herald reset. That's enough, honestly, from the side of FPX. They've got that pressure in the bottom side, remember? So if they can just neutralize top side, that's good enough for them. Yeah,
I mean, you've seen Forge picking up the wave in mid, and the fact that Care's there kind of feels like there's a big disconnect from bot lane and the rest of the map right now. Normally we've seen those lanes move up, and actually, as I say, that Lwx and Hung making their way over with the prio they have. So I think AL gonna have to give up this Herald, and they're already in a deficit. They're already down a dragon. They're already down in gold. And now gonna be down this Herald potential. Although as I say that, looks like they're trying to muscle their way in.
AL, they're not going to just let this one go down without a fight. We've seen a first Herald fight both games this series, and I expect this to continue. ZDZ goes in here, trying to find an angle. Herald down so low, and it's smited by Xiaohao once again. But look at this, the final chapter across everybody. And now FPX can start to sweep these kills up. Slammed into the wall as Forge. Xiaohao grabs himself the Herald, but at the cost of his life. It's a double kill for Care. A slow onto Forge, and maybe a little more. Clid looking for the Sonic Wave. The slow is there, and the kill for Clid as well. It's 4-4-0.
And I just feel like AL, like they got the Herald. They could have tried to leave. Instead, they go for a fight. There's no way they were winning that fight, right? The spikes available to the FPX. The fact that Lwx and Hung were already there. In my opinion, there should have been a get the Herald and get out sort of game plan. The fact they lose so much on the back of it, it's going to be very difficult to make it up. So, like, we can have a look at the replay. ZDZ goes in, buys a lot of time, and this is enough to force them away. Bear in mind, FPX are waiting for the Herald in here. Xiaohao could have just left. Forge could have moved over to the pit and then flashed over the wall, but instead, they're committing to the fight. They're thinking, we can take this. Betty's not even here. He's still not here. We're like, the fight's done, and only then does the Ezreal show up, and yet they opted into that fight. They opted to take this, and I just feel like it was never going to work.
Yeah, wasn't going to work for them, and FPX happy to capitalize. Now, Xiaohao did get that Herald for himself. It's very much a silver lining with how badly the fight went for them, but maybe some way to get a bit of a gold lead. I feel like top lane is probably the answer, right? I feel like ZDZ needs to be the man that you're giving some gold to, because on this Jax, if he can get strong, maybe he could take over.
Potentially, there's definitely an angle for it. You know, the fact that we talk about Sivir being short range but super high DPS AD carry into a Jax with a counter strike does heavily limit what you can do. The problem is, you know, you're already 3k gold behind, well, just shy of it. They're now looking to secure their second dragon, and they have this super scaling bot lane. Lwx already has the Kraken Slayer. We have seen a bit of Gale Force, but a Kraken Slayer tends to be Kraken Slayer's one most times. We've seen Sivir lean towards. Just the fact you're already so high DPS really expands that further. And at 3 items, 4 items, that is where the Sivir will take over games. Like, especially with the Yuumi attached. The fact that FPX are already ahead, already have 2 dragons in pocket. Like, AL are 20 minutes. 31 minutes is the earliest AL could have a soul. I just feel like they're in a really tough position. They're going to have to find a window out.
It's going to be a tough one for AL, that is for sure. Especially considering, like you said, 3,000 gold down plus the 2 Drakes. That is disastrous. And Clid just going to be trying to make his way through his jungle here. Almost resetting the camps, but not quite. Managed to pull it off. Blue before we gifted over to Care here. Summit taking a bit of damage. Actually walks back into the stun and pays for it dearly. 200 HP remaining, but a final chapter forces a flash. Xiaohao gets charmed. No! Dashes in, dodges the charm, and now the rest of the team is here. AL, perhaps a chance to turn things around. The Herald will go forward as Forge gets big damage onto Care. The plate's taken. Now time to retreat.
Yeah, so pressure down, but we see Care, Summit, and Hung still comfortable. Although Hung out of mana. I think with that in mind, AL potentially could have looked for more, but maybe respecting the lack of wave. Quite a small one there, and also Summit going towards Mega. But look, you leave bot lane alone, this is what's going to happen. Lwx can just walk up and take plates for free. This Sivir is just getting stronger and stronger and stronger. I am very worried for the side of AL, as they've already hit on, but you know, look at the item spikes across the board for AL. The fact that they've nearly got 2 Sundras on the top side. Betty's going to be really strong on 2 items. Forge is also really strong on 2 items. I think that is the point of the game where the Sivir hasn't taken over yet, and you can sort of challenge. But kind of before that, we'll take a look at this top fight. And it's just felt like, you know, FPX were a bit more confident. I think they didn't have to read QiuQiu was there. I think QiuQiu was a big difference maker because they kind of just focused layered CC on a Clid.
Yeah, just knocking Clid up, keeping him in place. Really good re-engage from Xiaohao. It looks like he's about to get charmed, but he decides to just go in and try and set up the feed. Beautifully done. And AL more than happy to capitalize. And it means it's, you know, 2,500 gold lead now instead of a 3,000 gold lead. It's not, you know, game-breaking, but it's certainly going to be ever so slightly better for AL than it was before. I do want to take a second, though, mention the fact that Care going for the Leandries in the mid lane. You know, Ahri Everfrost getting a couple of changes has changed the way people build these champions. Betty gonna get kicked into the wall. Oh my god, he's just gonna get rinsed here, but they want to give the kill over to Lwx. Clid chooses not to take it. And now the rest of the team moving on in. They re-engage. Xiaohao taken down by Care. Oh my god, it's immaculate. And AL just taken apart under the tower.
A massacre. The fact that you have this Wukong with you on a tower, the Alistar even shows up and they still get 2 kills, get away scot-free. FPX are completely taking control of this game. And now, you know, getting 3 kills on a Care, this Ahri, this pick that he's so comfortable on. 7 stacks in the Dark Seal as well. And we even see the top lane matchup, something we praised him before. Summit now has a Triforce completed and full Ninja Tabby, so he's starting to apply a lot of pressure there. It feels like there isn't any saving grace that we can see right now for AL.
Yeah, like you say, Care has been such a great Ahri player across the course of this split. It's been one of the picks he's been really, really comfortable on. It's been one of the picks that he's more than happy to force the issue on. That is gutting for Betty, as he tries to get every last hit and to deny the recall. Can't quite do both. But crucially, like, we saw the finesse of Care's Ahri right at the start of the game as he flashed forward to get the pick onto Forge at the start of the laning phase. But the expansion of that lead has just been beautiful to watch.
Absolutely, and I feel like FPX are going to continue expanding that lead. And AL, I know I was being all doom and gloom earlier, but they need to find an avenue in. They need to find a window into the next couple of fights, because second Herald, you can afford to give. You can see they're not even paying any attention towards it. But that Dragon coming up at 45 would put a tremendous amount of pressure on the AL. My question is, can they find a pick leading up to the fight? Can they find a good angle in the fight? If they get on top of Lwx and they have like all these melee champions in the Sivir's face, maybe that can be the solution. But it's one of these scenarios where you're 3,500 gold behind. You'd love to be able to say, well, we'll give up the Dragon, we don't need it. But I feel like if you do, you just put yourself in a deeper hole that's going to be harder to climb out later.
Yeah, it's a tough decision for AL and a big moment in the series, because again, AL 7-3. When you look at the scorelines between these two teams, you'd anticipate that AL were a favorite coming in here today. But FPX recently have been proving themselves. The loss against OMG left some questions to be answered, but I feel like those questions are being answered today. Summit, though, could be in trouble here. Locked up. It's a true shot barrage, but they'll be fine. No proper commit from AL as they move towards that Drake we were talking about.
Yeah, but Lwx picks the bot tower and is there now. I think it's good AL won the objective first, but I think FPX are more than ready to take this fight. Gotta respect the Mega Gnar, at least it's time now. That's one good thing for AL.
Here we go, Smite fight. It's taken by Xiaohao. They deny Soul Point, but at what cost? Lwx is just free-firing the ricochets throughout the fight. And in the meantime, Summit starts to chase them down. Betty trying to get some damage out, but he doesn't have any damage. There's none to give. As Forge taken down by boomerangs galore. Care finds the last one in the pit. Flashes to finish the kill as well. It is beautiful from FPX, and it feels like it might already be over.
And I feel like, you know, when we see those videos displaying like updates to champions, new champions, that was like textbook Sivir. This is what the rework has done. Lwx sitting in that fight, just free firing, the ricochets bouncing again and again and again and again. The DPS that starts to come out, because AL, they think they found a good engage. They get the lockdown, the Lwx untouched, and you just see it start bouncing between all these members. So many people clumped up. The AoE shred is massive here. And AL quickly realized that outmatched. Then Lwx, remember, the ult means his cooldowns are resetting, so he gets his W back, starts to charge forwards, and is still outputting so much damage. The fact that we see Xiaohao go down as well, a nifty flash to redirect from Care, is the icing on the cake. But yeah, this Sivir has hit critical mass already because of the amount of gold that's been injected into it. It's an 8,000 gold lead. And Joe, I was saying I thought game 3 probably going to be really close. This does not look even barely close.
Oh my god, Cho's getting railed right now. Has to flash away over the wall. And this is the thing. Sivir Yuumi, like, Sivir already has the insane move speed steroid on her ult. When you've got Yuumi, you don't even have to ult if it's a pick. You could just have the zoomies to catch up to that play. So terrifying for AL, and they don't really have that much in the way of disengage for these plays. So once they're in on these ones. And now you can see the gold lead has skyrocketed almost 9,000 in favor of FPX. It's a really tough one to be looking at for AL.
Yeah, and I think that the best case scenario for them is that FPX. I mean, one thing to note is that they have at least secured that dragon, so Soul is still a while away. But you kind of need a fight where like FPX are trapped in the Baron pit or something, and all of AL are literally on top of LWX. Like, he can't even breathe. That is the only way I realistically see them coming out ahead in a fight. Because the second LWX even has a slight amount of space, that's when the kiting comes in. That's when you start to get shredded. And bear in mind, you know, it's 2-item Sivir. 3-4 items is really where the pick starts to be a massive problem. But it feels like LWX has become a problem earlier just because of how far ahead FPX are.
Yeah, LWX doing a Gumayushi, only using 10% of his power. the rest of the power coming later on once he's got those items. It's just going to be clearing away the waves with this Sivir. And you can see ZDZ, he's going to look for a bounty on the bottom side of the map. Tier 2 taken already by FPX. And with a TP from Summit, it's not even like AL grabbed that bounty for themselves. And remember, they only get one bounty, and then it's cashed in. The way the bounties work changed on this patch from 12.13, sorry, for anyone that doesn't know already. So, going to be difficult for AL to find a way back into this game, and it feels like for the side of FPX, they could slowly but surely dot the I's and cross the T's. Baron available and on the map right now, and with a pick composition like FPX's, it's very difficult for AL to try and find vision if FPX threaten. And
the fact that, like, Summit is 2 levels up on ZDZ means they don't even win in the side lane. You know, at the moment, Summit is the one having the pressure there. Now, JoJo's been found.
He's used his ultimate, and Care's got a flank as well. Final chapter across the team. Betty rooted uses the cleanse, but it will not matter. Care with the resets now as he looks for Xiaohao and finishes him off. And Care giving us a masterclass on this Ahri. Honestly, such a pleasure to watch him on this pick. He's really come into his own this year. We featured him and Forge at the start of the day, and it's clear that Care is winning that matchup out.
And he just bought a Medjai's before that fight, by the way. He had the full stack Dark Seal for the Medjai's, 20 stacks off the back of that. As if it couldn't get any worse. It's a 10,000 gold lead. And, you know, I'm going to say, I often say, you know, AL can show they can fight back from 6k, 8k, 10k gold deficits, make it competitive. This feels like an extremely hard one to find that angle. JoJo gets caught out, and then you just have the chase potential coming in, but then the Yuumi combined with the Ahri, the ability to an insane level, and the resets just come in again and again and again. AL decimated.
Yeah, the Yuumi Ahri, the Sivir ult on top that extends when you get a takedown. It's a tough one to escape from this FPX squad. I don't know about you, Aux. I'm loving this draft. I think this is the kind of draft that you need if you want to win League of Legends in 12-13. Based on what we're seeing so far today. Plenty more games coming up, though, to see how the meta evolves on this patch. And again, it was a huge patch, so I'm not too surprised that we're seeing teams tentative to go for things like the Sivir. Remember, there were, what, 7 AD carry bans in this one? So this is very much a fringe pick still.
I will say there's definitely lanes that can punish the Sivir. You know, things like the Kalista, Draven would be very hard for a Sivir to deal with. But Ezreal is like that pick where it's like, look, we ain't going to do much in lane. And the hope is that the Ezreal will be stronger than you on 2 items. And Sivir is just thriving in that scenario. Allowed to free farm, allowed to free scale, become that monster, and just absolutely take over the matchup. And now, the side of AL, they're struggling to even hold on to their base. You know, the FPX can just shred the minions and shred you if you're too close.
Oh, great charm onto Forge. Chocho with the engaged final chapter across the team as well. LWX aggressed upon, though. He's low on HP, has to turn golden. Big damage out from Care. Summit's behind enemy lines. He's diving the tower. FPX might just have thrown this one. Forge surviving with a sustain, but Care starting to sweep up. It looked winnable for a second there. But even though LWX fell, the rest of FPX just too far ahead. Bottom inhib guaranteed at this point, but I think FPX want to end the game. I don't think an inhib will do for them. The Baron minions in the mid lane take 1 tower already as the rest of the team pushes on in. Care low on mana though, knocked up, true shot barrage across the team.
Oh,
that might be enough. Where did Chocho go? It's a magic trick out from FPX. They make the cow disappear. Now into the base they go. Great charm onto Xiaohao. 1 HP as Betty falls. 2 more for Summit. And that will be game. FPX find their 5th win.
FPX, you know, after an earlier upset, ending their win streak, they show they are still on a warpath, taking out the 5th place team in AL, securing themselves another win, and with this, just sliding themselves into the top 10 for the time being. Huge game from them. I love the fact they brought out the Sivir. It worked so well in that composition. Not just the confidence to bring out the Sivir, also the confidence to bring out the Yuumi, both in unison, and then able to deliver, able to find such a favorable scenario for themselves. Care and the Ahri, masterclass on that pick.
Yeah, Care as well. I think that was Care at the end of that one. Head in his hands. I
think it was
feel
Summit,
like
actually.
was that Summit? Was that Summit? Okay,
I think it was Summit, yeah.
They've broken my brain because they're sat in the wrong order. I like it when the teams sit in the right order. It makes it easier. But yeah,
Summit's the latest
fantastic
edition.
stuff.
They already picked their seats, and he just got what was left.
He's like, dibs, this one's my one. Yeah, phenomenal game, though, from FPX, honestly. A magnificent performance and crucial performance, right? We keep on saying how this is a team that can fight for playoffs. Well, now they are in the top 10 for playoffs. But with a win over AL, I think FPX is the kind of team that could look good against, you know, TT. They already lost to OMG, but like LNG, maybe Weibo. These are the kinds of teams that there's a real chance that FPX could find these wins and climb up the standings.
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, despite the fact, you got to remember this team was 0-5, but they had a rough start to the schedule, and they've just developed so much. I feel like Summit was a solid addition, but it's not like just Summit has suddenly started taking over games and 1v9ing. The whole lineup seems to be playing much better. And I mean, I look at the remaining matches. I honestly feel like Weibo is the last challenge. I feel like they should beat every other team they're facing and pick up a handful of wins, be into playoffs once more. And, you know, I still think the way the game is, the way the standings are at the moment, there's like these scary teams right at the top. But from like 5th to 10th, I feel like FPX could honestly challenge every team there. I feel like there's no reason to suggest they couldn't make a good playoff run. And then who knows what happens when you face those top teams. Obviously, we've seen times before where, you know, last summer, WE managed to knock EDG down the losers bracket. Anything could really happen. But yeah, FPX, a much needed resurgence after a rough start of the split. And I feel like the hype train buckled a little bit when they got that loss, but is back on track.
It certainly is. And when you look at this roster, it's a different roster to the start of the year, right? They had 3 rookies on the top side. They had Gory in the mid lane. They had Beitron jungle. They had Xiaohao top. All 3 of those players have been replaced. Care's still a rookie in the mid lane, but the top side replaced by Korean veterans here for FPX. And then you've got Lwx and Hung down in the bottom side, 2 experienced players, 2 players that you know you can rely on. So it feels like this roster has leveled up, and Care is leveling up with the rest of the team, right? He's kind of the question mark in my mind. He's the newest player on this roster. Not necessarily newest in terms of tenure on FPX, but in terms of just playing competitive. And it feels like he has really had a great performance over the last few weeks. And it feels like he's becoming a reliable mid laner that you know will be able to set up for like the plate in the mid lane right at the very start of this game.
Yeah, I mean, he's strong in lane, finds those plays like that. When it comes to setting up map control, we saw that in this game as well. Moving around, clearing some vision, putting some wards down himself. And then, you know, the roaming potential. The fact he'll move to the side to make those plays happen. Something we've praised him for heavily. I feel like this player, you know, when FPX, things are looking dire in spring, this player, they bring him up and he just kind of fits the bill. Everything they need, all wrapped up in this single care package, I guess.
Hey, good one.
And then it really just feels like, you know, these additional pieces have kind of revitalized. Because I think everyone looked at the bot lane of Lwx and Hong. Hong in particular, has been like praised heavily, even when the team was struggling. But yeah, we knew what this team was potentially able to do. It just felt like it didn't fit together. And now it feels like there's cohesion. They're a unit. They work so well in unison.
Yeah, really, really great to see. On the other side as well, we do have to kind of commiserate anyone's legend a little bit here. The losses in this series, game 1 and game 3, both pretty one-sided, pretty brutal losses for them. This is the end of their 4-win streak, now on a loss streak. And remember, this is a team that it only gets harder for them. They have OMG in week number 8, and then their 4 remaining series, RNG, JDG, EDG, Top Esports. And crucially, that matchup against OMG, last week, OMG beat FPX, and AL just lost to FPX. So that OMG matchup might look a little bit scary for AL as well. Remember, they're on 7 wins. So they started today 7-3. if they don't manage to win against OMG, if they lose to the other top teams, they might finish their split still on 7 wins, and that might not be enough to make playoffs.
Yeah, that could be devastating. I think that, you know, we emphasize the importance of today's win, but missing out isn't the end of the world. If they don't win against OMG, it's kind of twofold. It's one, it's like, okay, you couldn't beat FPX or OMG. How are you going to fare against RNG, JDG, EDG, top esports? Probably not that well. But also, you know, as you said, locking in that 8 wins would just be such a boost of confidence to, okay, we're in a good spot to make playoffs. So they have to bounce back. I think it would be kind of hilarious if OMG to beat FPX, FPX beat AL, and AL beat OMG. That would be a funny arrangement.
Yeah. And then we somehow end up with like a 3-way tie in the standings as well between the 3 teams.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I could see that happening, that trifecta. The 3-way tie may be a bit more tricky to pan out, but regardless, you know, AL some work to be done here. And I think this is kind of the thing, is that like drafts can be so volatile for AL because you don't want to give up too much early pressure, but like they aren't the strongest early game team. And if you go into a game like that, like bear in mind, even the game AL won today, they were at a deficit during like the mid game. If AL go into a game like this where the enemy bot lane outscales so heavily, it's like they're probably not going to win early, and they can't win late because they're against Sivir, Yuumi. It really puts them in a difficult spot. So I think, you know, the last couple of picks that came in, the Ezreal Alistar, really ended up costing them. And you can see, you know, it kind of feels like a consistent thing. When FPX wins, Summit, Care, and Lwx all do tons of damage. But yeah, it was kind of that similar goal graph to game 1. FPX got ahead. They stayed ahead. They won.
They certainly did. Care, I think, for me, Care, the MVP of this one. A really fantastic performance on the Ahri. I think that should be recognized. You know, Lwx bringing that Sivir out was very exciting to watch. It certainly played well, but Care felt like setting up most of these plays, getting Clid ahead early on. And then, like you say, the roaming always there. It feels like Care is